Hi everyone, it's Taylor. Welcome back to my channel. I'm an American expat living in Malaysia, and I like to share my life and travels with you. Well, I'm here today with my American friend, Eric. We met quite a while ago, and we had scheduled an interview for the day after the election last year, and for some reason, neither one of us felt like it that day. So, he's here today, and I'm gonna ask him a bunch of questions and let you guys get to know him and why he's in Malaysia. Okay, Eric, I know we're both from the Washington, D.C. area, or lived there most of our lives, I guess.
About 26 years in the Washington, D.C. area.
Can you tell me a little bit about your background and how you thought about moving to Malaysia?
Sure. Well, I grew up in New York, but I went to college in New Orleans, and I received an international relations degree. And I've always wanted to live overseas, see the world, that sort of thing. But I ended up having a career mostly in Washington, D.C., mostly working for the U.S. government and doing contract work there, and mostly doing IT type work. So it never really got me out into the world. I traveled a lot, but in terms of actually living, I've always, until recently, lived in the United States. But and my career ended up being in D.C., and I had an extensive career, but I wanted more out of life. And I visited Malaysia on a vacation about almost 20 years now, and I just fell in love with the place.
So you lived in Rockville?
Oh, exactly. My last place to live was Rockville, Maryland. I owned a house there, and I was there for 17 years.
I was in Silver Spring, so right next door.
Oh, yeah, and I lived in Silver Spring in an apartment for 6 years.
Oh, in downtown?
Nearby, Summit Hills, on 16th and East West Highway.
Yeah, I know that. So Eric is only 56 years old. When did you start thinking about retiring early?
Well, I thought about it for a long time, but I really got more serious about it during COVID. I had more time to focus on things, and I was working at the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency in the United States in Washington, D.C., and not to get too political, but the orange monster really gave us a very hard time. People may disagree, that's fine, but working at the EPA, the budget slashing and all that was pretty brutal. And I survived, I made it through it, but I really didn't like what I was living through. And the stress was just off the charts. And I just realized there's gotta be more to life. And I had visited Malaysia at that point, maybe, 15 something years earlier, and remembered how much I loved it. And I just wanted to see if I could live there full time. And I was only at this point, maybe late 40s, give or take. And I didn't have any serious thoughts about retirement because I was too young. You have to be 59 and a half, and you have to be 62 for Social Security,
right.
All that stuff. You can't live without health insurance, and no one else speaks English, and which is totally ridiculous, most folks realize. But I didn't really get serious about it until, again, during the COVID era, when I started doing more research. I had more time on my hands, and I started basically spending time on YouTube. YouTube really, in a very good way, changed my life. And you, my friend, were one of the many people that really had a serious impact on me. And I want to thank you very much on camera. And he's not paying me for this at all. He might take me out to lunch if I can scan and have it. But really, you were someone who did it. And as I know now, not that I didn't know, but really came to solidified in my brain. English is spoken all over the world. The former British Empire really spread the language. And,
yes.
You can say we won back colonialism. It had a lot of really bad stuff, most certainly, but the English language has been spread all over the world. And I also had a look at my finances, and I hadn't looked at my 401k in years. It's one of the things where you set it and forget it, and that's a good thing because I learned to live within my means without the money that had been going to the 401k. So it just grew like crazy. And there's an expression I picked up: it's not time in the market, it's time in the market.
Yes.
And I invested just through 401k contributions for 32 years. So I hadn't looked at it in a while, and then I started going into the system. In fact, wow, it grew. And by US standards, I'm not going to say a number now, by US standards it really was not that much. But when you factor in leaving the country and going to a country with a lower currency, great living here. It's been amazing. But when you factor in the ringgit, which is the local currency, compared to the US dollar, you can live really well here. And just those thoughts started going into my mind. So I came out and visited and met with some friends and met some new friends and learned about the visa.
Yeah, it's funny you talk about the currency because people now are sort of freaking out because it's not as good as it was, last year sometime, the exchange rate between the dollar and the ringgit. But I'm always okay with it because when I moved here, it was 3.3.
Oh, wow.
So I figured that I could afford it at 3.3.
Yeah.
So now anything above that is gravy for me.
Yeah, and now it's give or take around 4.5, maybe a little bit less than that. When I moved here, it was close to 5. So, I mean, it really worked out well. And I had to put down my fixed deposit for my visa, which I'm sure we'll get to. And I just lucked out because right when I was providing the fixed deposit to the bank here, the dollar shot up or the ringgit went down. I don't even know which one it is. All I know is it was in my favor. And a few weeks later, it kind of turned around. So, and I'm not complaining because even with the reduced dollar compared to the ringgit, the difference is so great. So if it was like this when I started, hopefully it'll come out on the camera, but if it's like this when I started and now it's like that, it's still pretty darn good. So we have nothing really to complain about.
Well, you've already talked about how you discovered Malaysia both through my channel and through your visit here before. But did you consider other countries for retirement?
Well, actually, I probably should throw in that I went to Malaysia my first time about 18 or 19 years ago. I was with a vegan tour group, and I went all over West Malaysia, and I just loved it. And I'm terrible with languages, and I know that sounds awful. I really should try to learn the local language, but I know the way I work. I know my weaknesses, and I know my strengths. And one of my big weaknesses is I just don't learn languages well.
Me either.
Exactly. It's people like, oh no, you should get to know. No, sorry, it's just not who I am, not how my brain works. And Malaysia, being a former British colony, English is widely spoken. Now, granted, it is a second language, but it forces me to slow myself down, which is probably good being a native New Yorker. In fact, I'm doing that right now. Most people are going to be like, he's slowing himself down.
Yeah, really?
Like that slowed down? But I just fell in love with the country. And to answer your question, I did look at other countries because when I first got really serious and was ready to bolt, the visa program here, we're in what people commonly refer to as the main part of Malaysia. Peninsula Malaysia, which is, and no offense to the East Malaysians, they're great, but most people outside of the region don't really understand that there are two parts of Malaysia. I personally didn't know. I mean, I was just as ignorant as most folks are. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just was not aware that Malaysia has two parts because the tours and most of the tourist stuff and all the activity and the population centers and all are here on West Malaysia, and that's where the federal government is located. But there's a whole other section on the other side of the South China Sea, and it's on the island of Borneo, and I didn't know about that. So I have looked into living in West Malaysia, and I looked into the visa, met with a visa agent, met up with some British friends of mine that were living here at the time. And the problem was, well, at the time I was too young to get the best deal on the visa. It really gets easier and less expensive when you turn 50. And at that point I was in my late 40s. But unfortunately, during COVID, they eliminated the program. And then after COVID, they resurrected it, but they really made it extremely difficult. It was beyond my means. So I was very upset, and I didn't really know what to do, but then I started looking at alternatives. So that's the long answer to, yes, I did look at other countries, and my intention was to go to the Philippines. Cebu is supposed to be very much like it is here in Penang. You know, English is widely spoken, the weather is similar, and the cost of living is low, very safe. And I never actually made it there because shortly after I got back from Medellin, I learned about another visa program on the island of Borneo in the Malaysian state of Sarawak.
Okay, so you brought up that you're on the Sarawak MM2H program. How was that process for you?
Well, it's gotten a lot better. I want to say that right now because I don't want to deter folks that might be interested in the program. But at the time, it was kind of overwhelmed because the visa program here in West Malaysia had basically turned to crap. So a lot of folks that otherwise would have used the program in West Malaysia suddenly were going to East Malaysia, to Sarawak, and they really weren't equipped for it. A lot of it was manual. So it took, give or take, around 1.5 years.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I'm so glad I was able to retire when I'm relatively young. As you mentioned, I'm 56 years old. I'm still, healthy and can enjoy my life, can explore, can travel. I didn't have to wait until I was in my 60s or further when, and just in general, that's when health issues tend to arise.
So I've had an opportunity to watch your activity because we're friends on Facebook. And so I see that I don't think the 30 days requirement in Sarawak is going to be a problem for you. I think you easily will be able to do that.
Oh, totally. And that's the cost of doing business. And I have a lot of friends that also have a similar Sarawak visa, and they complain about it. And my attitude is, they have helped me so much. Sarawak has helped me so much. They gave me the opportunity to move here. They are such kind people, and I should pay the price that is required. It's the cost of doing business. And I've gotten to know the folks of Sarawak. I mostly stay in Kuching, but I've traveled a little bit within the state. It's a huge state. I often refer to it as the Alaska in the tropics because it's It's just tremendous.
Enormous,
it's bigger.
yeah.
The landmass is bigger than all of Peninsula Malaysia, but they just don't have the population. But I've gotten to know the people there. I've gotten to know the culture, and it's just something you do. You sign up for it. You agree to it. So stop complaining about it. Is my attitude. But also, I could see that it would be a problem for folks that have children in school, because on the visa program I'm on, I don't have any kids, but on the visa program I'm on, everyone on the visa needs to spend the 30 days in Sarawak, and you can break it up. I usually spend maybe 7 to 10 days at a time, then I come back here to Penang. But that can be difficult with school holidays and all that, and then it limits the amount of time you can go back to your home country or visit the region. So I kind of understand how folks with kids would really have an issue with it. But myself, I mean, I'm single. I've got a great girlfriend, the human love of my life. Yes, Nikki, I said that on camera. And so hopefully that won't get edited out. But really, it's not that big of a deal. And from here in Penang, they have daily flights on AirAsia. I'm not supporting them or sponsoring them, but they have daily flights, direct, nonstop, just 2 hours.
So as I mentioned, we're friends on Facebook, and I noticed when you first moved here that a lot of your friends were very negative about your move here. Can you explain that?
Sure. Oh my God, and I hope my friends don't get pissed off at me, but I'm taking a chance.
They're sure going to see this, I'm sure.
I'm going to send it to them. Like, see, I told you. But they basically had an intervention. I mean, they didn't like lock me in a closet until I changed my mind or anything, but they were so incredibly negative about it. And I'm rooting my life, I'm destroying my career. And several friends said if I sell my house in Rockville, Maryland, which I loved, great house, lived there for 17 years, I still miss the house, it was awesome, but I'll never be able to move back. Like, wait, you mean my money will not be green enough to move back if I should decide to? I think that they'll take my money, they won't penalize me because I lived in Malaysia. And I have no intention of moving back. I mean, I would like to visit, in fact, no promises, but I've thought about maybe visiting sometime this fall, but only for a week or two. But I could not believe how negative they were. And besides yourself and Dan from Vagabond Awake, but Nomad Capitalist, what is his name? Henderson, Andrew, thank you. Another Andrew, that was throwing me off. Andrew Henderson, if you're watching, I apologize. These Andrews have an impact on me. He actually has a whole video, or a good part of a video, about how your friends will hold you back. And they're still my friends, but what I realized is they were holding me back from what I wanted to do. You only have one life to live. I'm already at the point where I have more days behind me than ahead of me, but I want to live my life the way I want to live it, and you can go back there again. I know the Billy Joel song says you can never go back there again. You can, and I will, for visits. But I just don't understand why they are so afraid. And what it comes down to, I've learned, is Americans are taught to be afraid. Oh my God, you're leaving the country, they're gonna kill you. And Muslims are great people. This is not a Muslim country, technically, but they are the majority. They're great people. They are such wonderful hosts. They're good people. And they're so welcoming of foreigners, and because it's a former British colony, English is widely spoken, and the infrastructure here is absolutely amazing. I mean, we're in this wonderful hotel room. I have an apartment, which you'll see after we're done. It's just amazing, the lifestyle that we have here, that we could never live this way in the States by retiring so early. So I like to say, if you want to live the American dream, move to the other side of the world to do it. And I think my friends have come around. I mean, I've actually got a friend who's coming here. He really surprised me. Paul, kudos to you for actually coming out here. He just bought the plane ticket literally 2 days ago. He'll be here next month. And investigating, don't just read the media reports, come here yourself. And you see people like Andrew and myself and many, many others. We're having good lives here. Things are safe, things are clean. You don't need to get vaccinations, Paul. I'm talking to you.
Yes.
And you can drink the water here. I'm not gonna do that in many parts of the United States. So I think they're starting to come around. Words can get you so far. Actions really have meaning, and they've seen that I've done the deed. I'm walking the walk. I'm living here. I'm doing well. I have a great girlfriend. I have friends like you and others, and I think it's the actions that have really gotten them to kind of understand, wait, maybe Eric had the right idea.
So I know you were single when you moved here, and you're not anymore, which is great.
Yeah.
I'd like to meet your girlfriend sometime.
Oh yeah, I really hope you can. She's working right now.
But was it hard to leave your friends and family behind?
Well, it was, and in some ways it would have been easier if I hated my friends, hated my family, all that stuff, but I certainly do not. I mean, I've got great relationships with my family. I have a small family, they're all in New York, but, and I had a great group of friends in the Washington, D.C. area. I was living in Rockville, Maryland. It made it difficult, but ultimately I realized they were holding me back, as I mentioned a few moments ago, where they couldn't see the vision I was seeing. So it was difficult, but not terribly difficult because the interweb thingy I've heard about, has been really good. I mean, I'm still Facebook friends with them, and a bunch of us have birthdays around the same time. So we weren't able to do it this year, but we did last year have a video chat, and then there was a party a few weeks later, and Nikki was with me, and she got to meet online several of my friends in the DC area. So if it weren't for the internet, keeping in touch with folks, and also Google Translate when needed, and the apps for mapping and all that, I don't think I ever would have done it. I mean, when I was in my 20s, you didn't have all this stuff. I sound like an old man, I'm in my 50s. But the fact that we have such connectivity, and Malaysia has excellent internet access in Penang in particular, where we're currently sitting. So yes and no. I mean, yes, it was difficult, but it was nothing I could not overcome.
Well, I found that it was pretty easy to make friends once I got here. But I know, because you connected with me before you got here, that you already had a bunch of friends when you got here.
And you helped me out that way because I connected with you, and then you inadvertently or accidentally got me in touch with Jill, our friend Jill Tozer. Hey Jill, we love you.
We're having lunch with Jill after this.
And with her daughter as well. But so I found you, and I saw you had a video with Jill, and she was a vegan living in Penang. And that's something I couldn't resist. Like, vegan in Penang! I cyber-stalked her. Thank you, Jill, for not calling the police on me. But Jill and I became friends as a result of you, which I really appreciate. And it turns out we live about a block and a half from each other. So that was a great start. And we have a mutual friend we were just referring to, Joel, and he and his sadly now deceased wife connected me with a bunch of email and WhatsApp lists. And it really was easier than expected.
So Nikki is your girlfriend?
Yeah, Nikki's my girlfriend.
And I've told people there's dating apps here, just like there are in every parts of the world. But is that how you met her?
I hope her parents don't get too upset, but yes. Well, we met at a coffee house down the road, basically across the street. But yeah, so that's how we met, too, Mom and Dad. It was an American dating app, which I had used before. And I was concerned. I mean, there are language difficulties where English is very widely spoken, but it's not the first language. And this is me slowing myself down, but I do tend to be a fast talker. Also, the various religions, and nothing wrong with the religions, they're all great, and I'm not religious. But that can be difficult for someone that is religious, and it's just gonna be a different situation than what I'm accustomed to in the States. Although for the last few years in the States, I wasn't dating practically at all, so it couldn't have gotten any worse. I ended up meeting Nikki, and I mean, she has really changed my life for the better, and we love each other, and I'm so happy that we met at the right time. I've been living here 6 weeks, and we met, and it's been amazing since then. And she had only been here for 2 weeks, because she's also an expat, but she's actually working, and she's here on a work visa.
Oh, I see.
And I snatched her up 2 weeks after she moved here before anyone else could get to her.
That's great. Now, you've mentioned a few times that you're vegan, and I wondered if that was a challenge in Malaysia, but it doesn't sound like it is. Do you think it's pretty easy being vegan here? And I know you're very strict. And do they have vegan versions of Malaysian dishes?
Sure. There's a lot to unpack in that question. Well, the answer is yes and no and sort of, but I probably elaborate on that one. So one of the reasons I moved here was because just this island alone has around 35 vegetarian or vegan restaurants. And that was amazing. And really, when I was looking at places where I could live, having vegetarian vegan restaurants is really important. It shows you that there are vegetarians and vegans and they kind of understand it. So to be vegetarian here is a dream. The Buddhist, Chinese Buddhists have tons of vegetarian restaurants around here, and there's some more Western oriented vegan restaurants. And many of the vegetarian Buddhist Chinese places are accidentally vegan because they don't use eggs, because the difference, for folks that don't know, the difference between vegetarian and vegan is vegans are pure vegetarians, meaning no milk, no eggs, and no honey. So what I found is the vegetarians here on the Chinese side will use eggs, and I just have to say no eggs. On the Indian side, and there are tons of Indian restaurants, and I love Indian food, they will use milk and ghee and that sort of thing. So to be a vegetarian is really a breeze. What surprised me is the vegan part of it, that they just don't understand. So I've had a lot of, oh, you can't eat that.
I know you brought your 3 cats with you to Malaysia. How was that process?
Well, for them, it wasn't so great, unfortunately, but there was no way I was moving here without my babies. I like to tell people I came here with my left arm, I came here with my cats. I mean, there was no way I was going to move without them. It cost a lot of money, but it was money well spent. I mean,
it's thousands and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, well, if you factor exactly, I mean, you factor in the cost of the specialized carriers that are internationally airline approved. Some on Amazon or whatever will say they are, but they're really not. Yeah, you can use those carriers domestically, but you try to take them on an international trip, and they're not going to let the cats or whatever animals you have on board. So you really want to buy the ones that are certified as international airline approved. And see, these are things I would not have known on my own. And there are only certain airports that are really good, that can take care of the animals for potty breaks and stuff like that.
Okay.
So if you route it the wrong way, then they're really going to be stuck. And these are things I wouldn't have known. And because of the heat, you really want to have the flights at night as much as possible, so the cats don't get overheated during the layovers. I mean, there's just so many little things you would not have thought about on your own, and they are so dear to me that I wasn't going to take any chances.
So now that you've been here about a year and a half, is Malaysia living up to your expectations?
It is on many levels. I have one huge exception. Well, three of them. Driving.
Yes.
I won't use my middle finger.
I agree, but you know, it's just something you have to adjust to, and it's hard.
Oh, totally.
Well, Eric, do you think you're going to stay in Malaysia the rest of your life?
That's my intention. I mean, the only reasons I might...
Mine too.
Yeah. The only reasons I might not, and hopefully none of them will come to pass, would be if there are any issues with the visa, because they do keep on changing the visas. And the one for Sarawak, where mine is based, they did make some changes where as of January of this year, 2025, the fixed deposit is much higher, and they're not going to be grandfathering anyone in. And again, I saw that reaction. Yeah, because the visa program here in West Malaysia, they commonly grandfather folks in. So once you have it, they've nibbled around the edges, but once you have the
Yes,
visa,
there's some minor things, tweaks, like the visa fee per year is I have to pay.
Exactly. And they made it 5 years rather than 10.
Yeah,
so they've nibbled around the edges. But again, I don't have the visa here. I have the visa from Sarawak. And again, the folks in Sarawak can do what they want. It's their visa. You know, I'm just a guest. I totally understand that. But what they've done now is if you are renewing, you have to start from scratch. There's no such thing as renewing. So you have to follow the new program. And right now it's 500,000 ringgit for a fixed deposit. And that's, give or take, $125,000. So it's a lot higher than what I had to pay. So and I've got 8.5 years to worry about it.
Oh, so you have a 10-year.
Well, I have a 5 and 5. So
5 with, and you can renew for another 5.
Well, extend. And that's an important distinction because I can still extend under the current program, but after I extend, then you can only extend once. It's a 5-year visa. You can extend once for another 5 years, and I fully intend to do that. And then after that point, I would follow the new rules. And again, they can do what they want. It's their program. I'm happy to be here, and it depends on how they do it. If they do it the way it is now, I'd have to move some money around. I wouldn't love it.
Right.
Take some more money out of my 401k, pay some extra taxes. It's doable, and that would be my intention.
But the thing is I think people need to realize that the fixed deposit is still your money. It's not money you're giving to the country.
Exactly,
So,
I earn interest on it.
Yeah, and I do too, and I get the interest every year.
Same here. The way things stand right now, I plan to live here indefinitely. I hope I can.
Me too. This is probably the longest interview I've ever done, and I'm going to have some serious editing ahead of me.
Let's keep it all in.
But I want to thank Eric so much for doing this with me, and we finally got around to it. It's, but 6 months more, 8 months after we originally planned to do it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and I'm getting hungry, so let's go have lunch with Jill and Thea.
At a vegan restaurant. Thank you, my pleasure.
Well, as you can see, I'm back in Kuala Lumpur now. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Eric. He's an interesting guy. But I have to tell you, that was one of the most challenging videos I've ever edited. Boy, that guy can talk fast, can he? And he said he was slowing down. Oh my gosh. If you enjoyed today's video, please like and subscribe. And check the notification bell too. That way you won't miss any of my future content. Also, I really appreciate it when you buy me coffees. You've picked that up a bit, and I appreciate it so much. I was so shocked I got so few from my tiny house video, which is well over 70,000 views now. Can you believe it? But that's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks again for watching, and you have a great week. Talk to you later. Bye.